Okay, so let's talk about Boomerang. You know, that channel that always seemed to be playing Scooby-Doo or Tom and Jerry no matter what time of day. Yeah, that one. Part 1, where it all started. Boomerang was Cartoon Network's spin-off channel, and for a lot of us, it was like a time machine to the past. A place where cartoons from our parents or even our grandparents' generation lived side by side with the stuff we grew up with. But here's the thing. Boomerang wasn't always just that channel with Scooby-Doo. It had a pretty interesting rise, some major changes, and it honestly played a huge role in keeping cartoon history alive. So today, let's take a look back at the full history of Boomerang. To really understand why Boomerang exists, you have to go back to the early 1990s. Cartoon Network launched in 1992, and at the time, it didn't have original shows yet. Instead, the entire lineup was basically reruns, Hanna-Barbera classics like The Jetsons, The Flintstones, Yogi Bear, plus Warner Brothers stuff like Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies. But fast forward a few years, Cartoon Network was making hits of its own. We're talking Dexter's Laboratory and the Powerpuff Girls and Johnny Bravo. The network was evolving into a home for new, original animation, which meant they had a problem. What do you do with all those classic cartoons now that the schedule is filling up with new shows? The solution? Give the classics their own home. And that's how the idea for Boomerang was born. Part 2. Boomerang launches. On April 1st, 2000, Boomerang officially launched as its own channel. And no, it wasn't an April Fool's joke. The name was perfect, Boomerang, because the whole idea was what goes around, comes around. These characters had their moment decades ago, and now they were coming back around for a new audience. Boomerang quickly became the go-to spot for Hanna-Barbera shows. Scooby-Doo, The Jetsons, The Flintstones, Top Cat, Hong Kong Phooey, Wacky Races. If you wanted Saturday morning vibes 24/7, Boomerang was it. Part 3. The Golden Years. Through the 2000s, Boomerang was honestly magical if you were into cartoons. It wasn't just reruns. It felt like a full-on animation vault. They ran marathons, themed blocks, and special events. You'd have things like Boomer Action, where they played action shows like Johnny Quest and Thunder the Barbarian, or Boomrock, which was all Flintstones episodes. They even had Boomerang Zoo, showing animal-themed cartoons back-to-back. And the best part? Some of the shows on Boomerang weren't airing anywhere else. Stuff like Quick Draw McGraw, Magilla Gorilla, Huckleberry Hound. For kids who had never seen those before, it felt like discovering lost treasure. This was the era when Boomerang really lived up to its reputation as the home of the classics. It was a channel you could put on and always know you'd find something timeless. Part 4. The Shift and Rebrand. But by the 2010s, things started to change. Fewer people were watching linear TV, streaming was starting to blow up, and Boomerang needed to adapt. In 2015, Boomerang got a big rebrand. The old retro look was replaced with a more modern logo and bright graphics. The channel started focusing less on just the classics and more on being a family-friendly channel that also aired new stuff. They premiered shows like Be Cool, Scooby-Doo, and The Tom and Jerry Show. They also leaned harder into the Warner Brothers library, with newer Looney Tunes material alongside the older shorts. And then from 2017 to 2024, Boomerang launched its own streaming service. It was like a Netflix for Warner Brothers cartoons. Everything from Looney Tunes to Scooby-Doo to the Jetsons all in one place. Honestly, if you were into cartoons, it was pretty underrated. Part 5. Boomerang today. These days, Boomerang is still around, but it's not exactly the same as it used to be. The channel mainly airs family favorites like Tom and Jerry, Scooby-Doo, and Looney Tunes. You don't really see as many deep-cut Hanna-Barbera shows anymore, which is kind of a bummer. Part 6. Legacy and Why It Matters. So what's Boomerang's legacy? Honestly, it's huge. Without Boomerang, a lot of those old cartoons might have just disappeared from TV entirely. Entire generations of kids got introduced to the Flintstones or Yogi Bear or Bugs Bunny thanks to this channel. It also helped preserve cartoon history. Like, not every kid is going to go hunt down a 1960s cartoon DVD, but if it's just on cable, or later, a streaming app, you're way more likely to stumble on it. Even though Boomerang today isn't exactly the same channel we grew up with, it still deserves credit for keeping these characters alive and for reminding us that what goes around really does come back around. So yeah, that's the full history of Boomerang, Cartoon Network's Throwback channel. Did you grow up watching it? What shows do you remember catching on there? Was it Scooby Marathons, old Looney Tunes, or maybe some weird Hanna-Barbera cartoon you had never heard of before? Let me know in the comments. If you want something similar to Boomerang, watch MeTV Tunes on DirecTV Stream, Friendly TV, Fubo TV, Philo. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more cartoon history, and the current bumpers schedule under my posts.
Boomerang from Cartoon Network. It's all coming back to you.